Creating other schema object. So far we spoke the table objects such as table. Now we're going to talk about how about the view. What is the object look like the view? View is a logical representative of subset of the data from one or more table. What I mean by that? Look at this example right here. We have the employee table. Employee table containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 column. From that 7, 8, 9 column, we only prefer to have the employee ID, which is this one, first name, which is this one, last name, which is this one, and salary, which is the last column right here. We don't want the other resource, other columns such as email and phone number, or let's consider hiring date to be view when a user ran a query from our view. So view is really is a logical display of the table. How we can create a view? Here's the format that we create a view. A view, we're going to say create view. Let's name that view EMP view, whatever name you would prefer. As select employee ID. Let's say select employee ID, this employee ID, which is this employee ID, first name, which is this first name, last name, which is this last name, and salary, which is this salary field from a table such as employee. Let's go test this script. Here I'm on the PuTTY. I'm going to execute and they're going to tell me the view exists. Let me drop the view and recreate the view. Here's the recreation of the view, and now I'm going to press enter and it's going to give us a view. We create a view. Now if I describe the view that I created, EMP view, you're going to see that I creating look like a table which is consists of employee ID, first name, last name, and salary. But this is not a table. When we extract this column from a table, if I do select asterisk from my view, from EMP view, it really, let's retry that. Select asterisk from view, you're going to see that it's going to pull up the data from the employee table, but only it pull up the data from employee table for the first 4 columns, which is employee ID, first name, last name, and salary. Now the first 3 columns plus last column. So in fact, view really does not have any entity by itself. It just ran a script against the employee table with the desired column that we selecting, such as employee and salary. Here's the data dictionary that containing information about our view that we created. Now if I'm going to select information from text and view, I can write the var view name equal to EMP view, and you're going to see that the view really in the data dictionary is a select statement with the tag name employee view. And when I say select asterisk from employee view, in fact you go and execute this query right here, this is script query right here. Why we using view? We use the view because of to restrict the data access, to make a complex query easier, and to do any of these 4 options that you're going to see right here. Let's do one example, one by one, run an example for that purpose. This example that already we ran justify to restrict data access. We don't want to have an end user to see all the column of the employee table. We want him to see only the employee ID, first name, last name, and salary. Here's another view which we're going to say create view sal view as select employee ID. We name it ID number, last name we name it name, and create a new column for us, salary multiplied by 12, name that one annual salary from employee table. So this one is respond to this question to make a complex query much more easier. So in fact we can say a query is a view could be any complex select statement with any type of column and format that we prefer extracting the data from a table. So with that option also make it much more easier to understand a view and have a complex format like salary multiplied by 12 grouped by some other column or feature that we prefer. We can use in the select statement. So it make a complex query much more easier. Let's run this example too. As you can see, we ran this one and it create for us a new view. And now if I'm going to select asterisk from sal view, you're going to see that we have a new column such as annual salary. The annual salary is the new column that we added right here. Right here. You can see right here. Annual salary, this column that we created right here. It's also provide the data independent from the table and to present a different view of the same data. Well, we can replace the change the display of the column also. What I mean by that one, I may say, okay, display for me salary first, move the salary column from right here to this column right here to this position right here and display the data. So it really create a view, different display view of the sal view, which is right here. Let me go up so you can see employee view, and it displays salary, employee ID, first name and last name. These two query that I ran right here, these two view that we're creating, one of them we call it simple view, one of them we call it complex view. Complex view is the view which is containing a new column which does not exist in the employee table, and that new column is salary multiplied by 12, which will rename it to annual salary. So bring us to this table that we have feature that we have number of the table. When we have one table we call it simple view. When we have more than one table involving in our query we call it complex view. Let's consider we have a view right here, empdpt, and this view containing column from location table and column from department table, and we're going to create this view. We name it emploc location. We name this table view emploc view, and as we run this example you're going to see that it create for us a view, and we can select asterisk from emploc, and you're going to see the column which is containing the column from two different tables. So this example also is a complex view. So as we're going to see, a complex view is when we're using more than one table. When we're using functionality, is no longer that view is a simple view, like the example that we use the sal, like this example that we use right here, salary multiplied by 12, and we name it annual salary. And also when we use a group function and changing the normal format of a table, that's what we call it a complex view. It is no longer a simple view. And when we doing the DML operation on the view, we can do the DML operation on the simple view, but not always on the complex view. Let me show you an example. Let's go ahead and create a very simple view, like a table like this one. Or let me, yes, let's do this one. This simple table that I'm going creating, I have two phony data field. One of them I is number, J is date, email is varchar2. I'll create this table. As you can see, we create a table right here. Table of let's go and create the table test. Table test created. And if I describe the test, you're going to see I have two columns, I and J, and email address, three different. Let's create for a complex view for this table. if I do create view of this, and right here let me use the option create or replace. I'm going to use the option create or replace. They are the same format. A view based on the table 2 column of the test. Well, in this view that I'm creating, I put right here one more feature, and that one, let me close this option. One more, as you can see right here, that I create or replace view of the test as select ij and I multiply by 100. Let's name that field a code number and create this view. View created. Now if I describe this view of test, you're going to see that it created a view with 3 different columns. Let's do insert in this test view of the test value 10, sysdate and 1200. We can insert a value in this view. And we do one insert row, attempting to insert one row into this view that we're creating, ij and code number. And as we try to do the insertion, you're going to see that it's going to tell us you have a virtual column which is code number, and this virtual column does not exist on the table employee table. Now let's do another for. However, if I do this insertion type, just as selecting, okay, put for me value I and j in the table of view test, then it's going to insert the value into the view. But before I do that one, let me do a select. You're going to see that if I run a select statement from test, it won't return me any row at all. But by inserting this row in the view, I'm going to insert, don't make mistake, I'm inserting the value into my view test. But the view, because it's a product of the test table, which is, or the base table is test table, when I do the insertion a row into the table of into the view of test, it's going to insert that value into the test table. Let's try it. So I'm going to do this insertion into the table, and you're going to see that it's successful. But if I do the select statement right here, you're going to see that insert that row into my table. Now that's the reason right here we're going to say DML operation to a view is possible, yes, for simple view, but no for complex view, not always. But sometimes it's possible, and as I show you in this example right here, that inserting 2 columns on the view, complex view, is acceptable. But if we try to insert in all 3 columns of the same view, it will reject the insertion. The view could be a complex query, any format. So like this example, if I put a create a view right in top of this one, or if I put a create view right in top of this select statement, or any statement with group by function, sum function, any type of functionality, it's going to create that view for us. And as we said, we have 2 types of view, simple and complex. Now here now I'm going back to the syntax of the view. When we want to create a view, we can say create alone or create or replace, force, no force, view name. Let me explain right here. Or replace is optional. If you don't put or replace, the good point about that one that you may not drop a complex view that you created. The bad point if you're using or replace, it causes that one you drop a complex view that you're creating, and you have a lot of subquery group by function in your view that you created. So I may use, like the example that I did right here, we may use create or replace a view. So if that view currently exists, it's going to replace that view. If it doesn't exist, it create it. So that's the advantage of replace. The second option that we have right here, we have force and no force. No force is optional. When you create a view, automatically is no force. But what is the force? Let me show you an example. The force mean if the base table that I try to create a query based on that one does not exist, still create the view for me. Let me show you. See, in this example right here, I'm going to create a view for the base table XYZ, but the table XYZ may not exist at all. Let's look. If I describe XYZ, you're going to see I don't have an object such as XYZ, but I may go create that one. Create a view for this XYZ table which doesn't exist, but I ask him force it. So Oracle create the view, but view does not have any data or any relative object to be dependent on. So it's going to tell me that the view exists, but error compilation. Let's select and see is the view name exists or not. If I ran this query right here from user view object, you're going to see that we have the view, but not the view. Let me find that one a little bit. See right here, I use the where statement to extract only view, force view, and in the from data dictionary user view. And you're going to see when I executing this code, it's going to only return me my view name, which is force view, and select asterisk from XYZ. But if I describe XYZ, there is no XYZ. See, no object such as XYZ. Now what's going to happen if I create XYZ? Let's try. Here's the option create table XYZ. And now if I'm going to create the table XYZ and I'm going to describe my view, which is right here, force view, you're going to see that it's going to say yes, it exists. So it is another sign that really view is not a table. Views is a logical structure of a table that user prefer to use for the purpose of this 4 option. Now here more example from PowerPoint, more example for view, create view, and you're going to see a select statement, and we can describe a view like this one. Here's another example for view that we're using the where statement to create a view, and here a query that we can run and extract only data that we have from a view. So really modifying the view, we can modify the view and select our desired column. What I mean by that one, let's look at this example. I created a very simple view with the column names such as I and J, but for some reason this IJ does not make sense. They are not really a column, clear column what it does mean, and when you're describing the table you don't understand what is I and J, or your manager does not like that you display the column name with I and J. So what we're going to do, when I create a view, I'm going to create a view of this table, and I'm going to say create or replace view of the test as select I. But instead of the I display as a column name, I prefer to display code alias name J, and I prefer to have J as a hire date from the test table. This is one model that I can create with the new column, or this is another model. I can say create or replace view of the test, code stand for I, and hire date stand for the J, or code stand for, let's bring it right here, code stand for the I, and J stand for hire date from employee table. Both of this going to work and allow you to create a view with the meaningful column. Let's look at it. So we create the, let's see why. Well, it tells me the table test doesn't exist. Let's go create table test before. I'm going to create the table test right here. Then I'm going to create a view that depends on the test. We create a table test. Now we can go ahead and create our view. As you can see, I create the table I and test right here. Then I'm creating a view based on the table of the test right here. This is table test which we created right here. Now if I describe the test, describe the view of the test, you're going to see that the column name is no longer INJ. They are code and hiring date. Let's go ahead and create the other model. This model also is possible to create a view. And view created, and now if I'm going to describe the view test, you're going to see that it creates the same view with different column name. So we can edit the column heading of a view. Here's more example right here, and here is another example that we're creating a complex view. Now here is a rule and regulation about the view and DML. We spoke about this one, that we can change a column name, but also we show you that you can do insert in the simple view, but you cannot insert in complex view. And we said complex view, there are a view which has the following feature, one of the following features, or any of these features. Now that when we can do this simple insert statement in the view, a simple view, what type of DML action we can do? Can we put any type of constraint like primary key, check key, foreign key? None of those are acceptable except one, or let's say put two for constraint, primary key, foreign key, check key. That those type of constraint that we had on the table, can we use those in the view? Not for all of it. Only constraint that we can put on the view is the constraint with the check option, constraint type. What it does mean? It means that you can apply any insert, delete, or update any DML for department 20. But if you're attempting to update department 30, 50, or whatever, this constraint pop up and tell you that you are not allowed to do a DML on any other department ID except the department 20. If you notice in this syntax, we have two type of constraint in the view. One is the check option constraint, which already make it restricted that what department, based on whatever your where statement, allow you to access data for the where statement clause. Also we have another constraint that we can put next to that one, and that one with the read only option. If you notice, no comma exists between these two. Let's look at this example. We created a complex view right here. I'm sorry, a simple view with the check constraint, and we said only the department 20 is accessible. So if we go create this view, and view created, if we try to update this view for department ID only 20, set all the department ID to 20 and execute that one, it's gonna work. But let's go ahead, change that one to 20, go change the 20 to 40, and I'm going to try to do this one, and it's going to bring me the check constraint that you are not allowed to do any DML operation any department except the 20. Now let's go ahead and do the read option. So we can use the read option, as I said, but you know, we don't need any DML operation when we do the read option. So it doesn't make sense that we have this constraint on the view. Only we have right here with read option. As you can see, we may create our view and change that one to read only feature, and view created. Removing the view is very simple. Just drop the view name. Find out how many view we created currently by executing the command select view name text view from user view, and it's going to tell us that the view that we created, we create force view, view of the test, and just name it employee v20 and more and more.